All right.
Okay.
So what are some of the themes that you are grappling with or dealing with?
Grappling with the big thing I'm grappling with is this posture that has all this energy that starts with paralysis and disempowerment, and then it goes to
A
fear.
posture that goes from paralysis,
like disempowerment, not being able to do anything,
okay, paralysis, which is disempowerment,
fear,
turns into fear,
or maybe those two are connected, and then anger.
and then expresses itself in anger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it sounds like you outlined a sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Frustration and powerlessness, fear, that maybe that's why it happens, because you get scared, and then you get angry. Okay.
And I'm very aware of it.
Okay, so where are you aware of it in your body?
In my head.
But that's right there.
That's right there. But it still happens, and it doesn't happen in my head. It happens in my body.
Right.
Like.
So it starts off here in your head?
Awareness, I have awareness of the sequence in my head.
Okay, you have the awareness of the sequence in your head.
Because I can observe how the sequence happens over and over, right?
Give me an example.
Well, like it happened recently, and I go, oh, that again.
Okay, what happened recently?
Well, what happened was.
Yeah. What happened was, I want to track the sequence that you're describing in a real situation that happened to you.
Okay.
All right?
So I was with my lover.
You're with your lover.
And I got in this posture, and the posture brought, like I, didn't know that was her, and I just started sobbing.
Yeah.
And got really, freaked out. And
you got into a place where you didn't know this was her.
Yeah.
And that freaks you out.
I was totally freaked out. And then I got, angry, and I was like, get away from me.
And I see right now that as you remember this, as you're describing, you feel sad.
Yeah.
Okay, may I touch you? Yeah. Okay. So start with the sadness, Camilla. You're sad. Yeah.
Well, I feel sad because, I saw what that did. And later when I came out of it,
you saw the effect
of it, which was not my intention.
Okay, hold it. The effect of it, which was not my intention.
No.
In getting angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And freaking out on the whole thing.
Freaking out on the whole thing.
The whole thing was not my intention.
Freaking out was not your intention.
No. I would want to be present,
Ideally.
Ideally, you would want to be present.
Ideally, you want to
be intimate and vulnerable,
Yeah.
and you would want to be present.
Yes.
I wanted to be present.
Yes, you did. You wanted to be present, isn't it?
And so it's sad to me to own that it wasn't. That wasn't where I was.
Yeah. So stay with that. I'm sad that I wasn't able to be present.
I'm sad that I wasn't able to be present.
Yeah. Just stay with that. So from this place, you're willing to tell her that? Yeah. So from this place, could you tell her that? Yeah, and not to worry about reactions or anything, but what you need to say, what Camilla needs to convey?
Well, that my heart hurts.
My heart hurts.
My
Yes.
heart hurts knowing that, that hurt you.
And my heart hurts that I notice and I see that I hurt you. That the way I behaved hurt you. Yeah. Add that. I'm suggesting not only I hurt you, but the way I behaved. Because I don't know what's going on inside. This was your behavior. This is the pattern you've described. So can you tell her
My heart hurts knowing that my behavior hurt you
Yeah,
at that moment.
yeah. And underneath that behavior, are you aware of what you were feeling?
Now?
Yeah,
Yeah. Now I am.
yeah.
At the time I wasn't.
At that time you weren't. Mm-hmm.
But now I am.
Now you are. Now you are. How soon were you aware after that happened with her that you were really sad about all of this?
It took like maybe a month.
Took a month. And what happened in that month?
I was angry a lot.
You were angry a lot.
I was still in that posture.
Yeah.
And
Being
I was-
anger. Being
It's the
angry.
whole thing, like I couldn't make decisions, I didn't feel my agency, I couldn't like feel myself making choices, and I was full of fear and I was angry.
Yeah.
You know?
So you got fearful and angry, and that froze you. And
For
what?
like a month.
A month. And what started the thaw? How did you start to thaw out?
Well, one thing is I'd saved up all of these sessions with my home synergist.
You
So I
saved-
was having like sessions, twice a week, so that was a good thing. And maybe I saved it up that way. Maybe it worked out that way.
Mm-hmm. Who knows?
But
You had
also-
all these sessions available to you.
Mhm. And gradually, it was like, no, it wasn't gradual, it was an energy shift. At some point, I felt the energy shift and I wasn't in that posture anymore. And then I was making decisions and I could feel my agency and I was like, oh my God, we need to talk about this. And I wasn't angry.
You let the anger go.
Yeah, it felt like this shift, like I wasn't in that posture anymore.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't angry.
Mhm.
But my concern is that I might get in that posture again.
Okay, and I hear the word posture.
Yeah,
Okay, I wasn't in that posture.
anymore.
So, posture. Okay. Show me the posture that you were in when you're stuck and angry. What posture do you get into?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you would see it, but it's like I'm afraid. Okay, so
Okay.
it's fearful,
So
and
you-
so my heart is closed
Okay, so your heart's closed.
because I'm afraid.
Okay.
So it's hard to be open-hearted. It feels like my heart is closed off, and I'm like
Okay.
checking to see if it's safe.
It's safe and yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know what posture it'd be like, but it's like I can't make a decision because I can't feel my power.
Okay.
So I
when
get
you're
confused.
fearful and you're afraid,
It
you
sort
don't
of
feel,
closes
you
off.
close off, the chest closes off, and you,
And I like walk around a lot because I don't know what
Go
I'm
ahead.
doing. So I can't really feel like there's not a clear path. So I'm like walking around.
so lots of paths, walking around, there isn't a clear
I have all
path.
these feelings, but I feel afraid, and I'm like walking around and confused.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm. And then, what happens with the energy shift?
Oh, and then I left off a piece, and then like I have some kind of exchange, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you saying? Because then I'm angry too, right? Like, exactly, I'm defensive.
Mm-hmm. What happened
what
here?
What are you saying? What,
What-
you know, like, what is it? So it's like that, too.
Mm-hmm. So in a
Like,
defense,
you know, like, don't talk to me that way.
mm-hmm. Okay, so everything fits in. Everything fits into that picture
Right.
of something, I'm
Right.
angry, and everything.
Once it comes from a fearful place, then you're so defensive that
Yeah. So when
Yeah,
you're
it's like,
defensive, so
what
anything
is
the
it
other,
person says is
everything
like,
she says, any,
you know, like, why are you talking to me that way? Or what is it you're saying? You know, it's not loving.
no, well, you're not in a loving space.
Right.
Something happened with her. And what I'm getting from the story, and stay with your hands like that, something, this is a hunch, okay? Something very threatening happened.
In the past, but not in the not with her. It was in the past. I mean, I know what it was.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So something very threatening in the past
yeah.
used to happen.
And I still have that memory. Right.
Oh, not with her.
Mm-mm. It was in the past.
So when I picked up threatening, it was from the past. Okay. How soon do you recognize that? When this threatening thing comes up from the past and doesn't have anything to do with the present?
I think I'm starting to recognize it sooner. I was surprised because I thought I was on top of it more, but this past time, like, it started because I was asked to do an interview where I shoot myself, right, about the Memories film for a television station in Manila, and they asked me, why did you make this film? And I made the film because my father raped my mother. That's the
Okay.
emotional reason that I made the film. And every time somebody asks me that, I always think, I could just say that. It's a great soundbite. It, like, you know, but then there's all this shit about, you know, like betrayal and like keeping family secrets and loyalty.
Well, when you said that, you got really cold. Your hands are very
Right.
cold. You got very upset.
Right.
So that, your father raping your mother, or whatever happened between them, is still full of tremendous energy.
Exactly, and that's the posture of, because I couldn't, you know, do anything about that, and I talked to lawyers, and, you know, there was nothing really that I could do. If she doesn't want to do
No.
something about that, I can't
If
really.
your mother doesn't want to do anything about that, you cannot.
I can't
That
do
is
that.
that is right on.
Right.
So there's the frustration.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
and then the anger, and then, you know, the whole connection of my own experience with my father of abuse. And so anyway, it was Kirsten,
Mm-hmm.
my girlfriend, who was shooting the video of me while I'm thinking, what am I going to say?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of brought it up.
Well, what I'm getting now too is that there are a lot of complicated roles here.
Yeah.
You've got your partner, the person you love, is also doing the film,
Mm-hmm. Well, shooting video of me, right? Yeah.
shooting you.
Shooting me.
Yeah.
So that was complicated.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. So all these feelings about your mother, father, frustration, and you're looking at the camera and there she is.
Yeah, because we don't know each other that well. We're getting to know each other, and, you know, it's like, I did feel like,
Well,
you know, like, I mean, so I didn't say anything. I tried to hold it in, and then it came.
yes, yes. So and it came out in another place. Okay. So we got a couple of options.
That's
I
great.
know with your synergist, we've been doing all of this all along. Now, I know with your synergist, you're probably dealing with this mother-father stuff, right?
Oh my God, yeah, since like 1994.
All right. Okay. So are you ready to let that go?
God, I'm so ready.
You ready to let
I'm
that
so
go?
Ready. Yeah,
Okay.
I totally am.
Okay. Is it up here or here that you're ready
Yeah, I
to
think
let it?
I'm ready up here, and
I
I'm
think
not
so.
quite sure what's going on in here.
Okay,
Like,
let's
what is
check
it?
out.
What do you need, Camilla?
Okay, close your eyes, go into your heart and say, Camilla, what do you need to let this thing with your mother and father go already? What do I need? Camilla.
I mean, I wish I had a clue. I don't know.
Camilla. Camilla, little, what do you need? Camilla. Ask her. Camilla, what do you need?
Just being present.
She says to be in the present. Now, is that in your head or is it down here in your
It
body?
feels like it's more in my heart.
In your heart. So your heart says, Camilla, it's time to be in the present.
And maybe forgiveness, something about forgiveness that maybe I don't understand.
Okay, so you got very teary with that again. Very something about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of feelings with forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Yeah, because it's... Sometimes I just feel like, I'd like to kill him.
Yes.
And it doesn't last very long.
Sometimes you'd like
Recently,
to kill
but
him.
I had that feeling for like 3 minutes a couple weeks ago. It's like, just like to...
You got it down to 3 minutes.
Yeah, I got it down to 3 minutes.
You got it down to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I could kill him. Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So this,
But forgiveness is harder, I think.
it's a process. You may want to do that now and not be able to right now. But it's certainly a seed that's with you in your heart that at some point forgiving your father may relieve you of all of this stuff that you've been carrying in your body. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe share that with Camilla. Camilla, it's forgiveness is a process.
Camilla, forgiveness is a process. So it may take a while.
Yeah. Take your time.
I can take my time.
I can take my time. Again, I can take my time. Yeah. I can take my time. It will be from my heart, not my head.
Be in my heart.
Yeah, be from my heart. Be forgiving from my heart.
Yeah, I would be forgiving from my heart.
Mhm.
I would forgive in my heart so I could keep my heart open.
Yes. Yes, I want my heart open. Forgive from my heart. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So very gently, with your hands there, just open your eyes real softly. And hi.
Hi.
Say that to me real easy, Ilana. Forgiveness is a process. And I want it to be from my heart, not from my head.
Ilana, forgiveness is a process.
Yes,
I can take my time,
you can take your time.
and I want it to be from my heart.
Yeah, that it comes from your
From
heart,
my head.
not from your head. Your stomach agrees.
And my stomach agrees.
Yeah, usually it's rumbling.
I want it to be from my heart.
Yes. Yeah, and I want to support you that the sense of forgiveness comes from your heart. And support you in that forgiveness which will assist you not carrying all that. You've been carrying that for quite a long time and chipping away at it. And it's like a closing phase.
It's nice to do a closing phase with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's wonderful for you to have a sense that you're in that part of your life that you're having closure about this. And it may always give you a twinge, and you know it. And maybe one day it'll pass in a second. Instead of a month or even 3 minutes, it'll say, oh, yes. We don't know. You have the time. You will have all the time that you need for that. Yeah. So what would you like to say to Kirsten now? If she were in front of you, what would you say to her now?
My heart is open to you.
Yeah. My heart is open to you. And just very gently look around and see all the flowers that have hearts open. Flowers around the room, the colors, the people.
Can't see any of them because I don't have my glasses on, but I kind of like that.
You like that you're getting waves of energy?
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
like to see faces in detail so you could?
I don't know.
Okay.
So, it kind of puts me in my head a little bit to see that way.
Okay, and we'll stay this way, that you can
just kinda
see.
see colors and light.
And light, yeah. Colors and light.
Energy.
Colors, light, energy. And what do you experience as you see color, light, and energy?
It's like you can see their spirit.
Mm-hmm. Color, light, energy. There's a spirit here that supports you.
Yeah. Oh, look at Peggy over there. She's all bright.
Yeah, with the turquoise.
Turquoise.
Yes.
Looks like a stone. Very sweet looking, aren't they?
Yeah. They are a sweet bunch. They are a sweet bunch here. Sweet looking. It's nice for you to make contact this way. In an open-hearted way,
Yeah.
without details.
It's amazing what you can see with your glasses off.
It is.
Actually.
I'll vouch for that.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not wearing
You're not
mine.
wearing yours.
Mm-mm. No, it's very interesting how you begin to pick up what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
So walk around a little bit. Give yourself space.
I feel better.
Yeah. And how?
It's a huge thing to carry around on my chest. I feel
Yes,
so
it was.
relieved.
Yes, a tremendous relief.
Mhm.
I'm glad you allowed yourself to let that go. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Twinkles, twinkles, twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder how you. So as we integrate all the different facets, so from Dana's presentation yesterday, and as a musician, What was the theme? What was the theme? That's an interesting question. What did you get was a theme or themes? Themes. Or theme, or the major one that stood out. We're not always so lucky to have. And Beethoven doesn't always do it, but at least in the fifth, he really put it out there. Da 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 da. And after that, it's downhill. Those are the notes. And after that, it's just, that's the theme. And the rest of it is all the way things happen with that theme. So, what's the theme that came out to you, Susie? Just hold it close to your mouth. Thank you.
Well, it seemed there were several, but a couple that struck me were disempowerment, both with Camilla's mother and with the posture thing that happens with her. And then anger and forgiveness.
Okay, so several themes. What I would like you to all go back to ask yourself, which was the one we started with? Remember, one at a time. We covered a few. Well, let's say one, which, and this, please include faculty, TIs, whatever you people want to say. I welcome whatever you want to. What you, listening to this, and I repeated some of it because she wasn't wearing it, but it was okay to repeat it, you know, get that. Nan. Thank you. Nan.
One of the first things Camilla said was, I don't need a tape. I have lots of tape. I want to have an experience.
I don't need a microphone.
I don't need the tape.
Oh,
I want to have an experience.
Okay.
I want to be with my experience.
Okay.
And to me, that was a central theme for her. She was unable to be with the experience with her partner because the past was cutting her off. She's got tape, round and round and round, endless loop.
Endless loop in the mind.
Right, which is keeping her from her heart. And she wanted to cut the tape and get with the experience, and that was a session for me.
Right there.
That was it.
Okay. All right. Very well put. I mean, it makes sense to me, what you're saying. Beta.
I would like to share the power of the ongoingness of this program, because I remember after my session with you, way back when, in the first year, I think.
Yeah.
At the end, Camilla
You can move on.
asked me a question.
Yeah.
And I couldn't answer it in the moment. And you said, 2 Cheshire cats smiling at each other. And when Camilla sat down, we were just now in real contact, you know, and the sharing of, you know, being the victims of colonial repression and all that stuff. And I think we just had the
Possession.
answer.
Victims of being possessed.
The repression, colonial repression,
Oh, yeah.
on both ends.
Yes. Exactly.
And therein lies the answer.
Mhm. Thank you, Beta. Okay. Thank you, dear. I'm going to swing the camera around. We have Dana come.
So for me, what I saw in this session was If you think back to the 2 circles that I had in my presentation last night, that Camilla has been in this one, where the anger has gone into unawareness and has gone around the victim circle, where one is paralyzed and separate. And that she's trying to move over into the heroine circle, where from anger one goes to awareness and into unity. So it's like she's at that juncture, and sometimes she slips over to this side, and sometimes she slips over to this side, and she's trying to stay in this loop.
Right. Right on. Forgiveness, that was beautiful. That's the whole other loop. Thank you, Dana. Some other, Barbara.
The word stance jumped out for me, and also the word position, and Camilla's heart closing, and as you said that your whole body had changed and moved this way. And I also could envision the position, the linear positions that we fall into, and then we carry on the position in the family and the stance we take in that position, and how it shows in our bodies, and then we hold that rigidly and get stuck in that.
So in looking at the session, what did she and I do?
Well, first there was quite a bit of exploration to really get clear, because there were so many rich points. And going to Camilla's heart. I remember you going to the heart place, and Camilla's body started to change and open, and she became erect with the realization of, and her anger. It was also addressing Camilla's anger.
Yeah. I many times I'm very careful when I ask for details. For one reason or another, I needed to know a situation where this abstract concept, this larger concept, happened. This repetition of the victim. When did that happen? And so she picked a more recent situation where it happened. And because she described that moment, very courageous, took a deep breath and said, okay. And she described that moment. Tears just flooded, feelings, lots of feelings, not thinking, lots of feelings. So there's an interesting balance between when you have someone ongoing, how you can, and I consider this ongoing because we see each other, although it's one session, how we can choose to ask for details about who it was, what happened, which will give you all a clue as to how the past is still ruling the kingdom of the present. And it does. And it does. And sometimes getting down the past to a shorter, the past experience which doesn't exist today, but getting it down so it's manageable and does not interfere with your here and now experience, is that maybe that particular goal for this client. Right? It's a yeah, Rob. It's a long range goal to help interrupt how that psyche is using the past not to be in touch with who they are in the present. Yeah, Rob. Yeah. Thank you. Swing around. Yeah, right.
I'm curious if Dana wouldn't say that this was also an example of those two circles Dana was describing. That in a sense you were making the choice that in inviting Camilla to speak what it was that she was holding, instead of stay in the abstract or the metaphor, there was a way of her owning it and speaking it.
Yeah.
And doesn't that facilitate that movement, Dana, over into the other circle?
Yes.
And sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we just support the client in being where they need to be and work with metaphor or imagery or what have you.
Right.
If we sense the client's need to remain in that space. And whatever you were picking up was you were just recognizing the importance. And in owning it, by speaking it, that moved Camilla to a whole new space in terms of
Yeah.
presence in the session with her feelings, which opened up so much for you to work with.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you. I'm giving us this time because we want to look at what happened here, and we've been working with the themes and with also the session standing, and what give you all time to ask questions, to make statements, to make observations. So here it is, because many times we don't have this time. to hone in.
Ilana?
Yes.
The other
Rob.
theme is the theme of forgiveness
Oh, yeah.
and the
Very
complexity of that theme.
Yeah.
And what we've been working on so much in the training is when we look at our own agendas as synergists and the part of us that wants the client to be in another space. I want you to get happy, or however it manifests.
Right.
And that so much comes up today in our world, this theme of forgiveness, whether in the spiritual movements, in the New Age movements, etc., and how that can spill over into our work in terms of us creating an agenda. Oh yeah, you're ready to move to forgiveness. Let's do that. And to be able to step back and really support a client. Yes, I support you if that's where you are, but also leave the space to not be there.
Yes, yes, and that it's not, and the judgment, then Rob, the judgment, everybody, about someone who's not ready to forgive, as if that's bad. That's an important open place. It's not bad. It takes time, especially if you want it to come from your experience and your heart, not because someone told you you should, or it's the latest thing to do, or some spiritual teacher said that's what you got to do. Marge?
So when you ask Camilla, is that coming from your head or your heart? In talking about forgiveness and helping her clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
And how many
talk
times
about-
it does come from our head, and we're not there in our bodies yet. We're simply not there, in giving her the space that it's going to take time.
Mm-hmm.
And even putting out different possibilities to her. At one moment you said, it could happen in a snap, who knows? So just allowing her to see there were possibilities about her process.
More comments? Okay, Meg? Thank you, Marge. Yeah? Okay, okay, no, Meg, Bill. Yeah. Okay.
Well, my observation is related to what you were talking about forgiveness and the okayness that it's not happening yet. And there was a gift of a certainty, a faith that it will happen and it's as good as done. And so
She wants that.
She wants it, and there was, the faith in there that her experience could be elevated and lifted, she could open, knowing that it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Bill.
She's had her.
Me. This is uncomfortable putting my back to Ilana, so. This is better, right? Right? I was aware of Ilana feeling, when you said forgiveness is a process, I felt empowered in that moment that for me too, forgiveness is a process, and that how important it is that we do our own work so that whatever we haven't forgiven doesn't come up in that moment we're working with a client. So we can be clean when we say forgiveness is a process, rather than wanting to have our stuff come out and all the things that we haven't forgiven and we feel pain about.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for saying that forgiveness is a process. It's not a should that haven't you gotten over that already?
Mm-hmm.
What's the matter with you? You're still letting this bother you? All those tapes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bill. Somebody else? Michael?
Just on the same or similar line, I think the idea that you can go back and forth, you have the freedom to forgive and be angry again. Oh, is it just 3 minutes now? That's
Right.
It happens in degrees, and it's not a constant, and that we're not constant.
Heather, did you want to?
Heather? Yeah.
Kind of adding on to the idea of process, I really saw, Ilana working very personally and very present with Camilla, but I also got it on a much greater level, that the permission for the forgiveness to be a process felt to me like permission for anything to be a process.
Mm-hmm.
So, you might get over this one, but then there's something else that happens, and each thing is a process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it just felt like permission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So what trance are you in this moment? Anthony? Yeah. Diane and Anthony.
For quite a while in the early part of the session, as you were exploring the generalization with Camilla, you had your hands on her back, and then one on her back and one on the chest. And when she got to the point where you were exploring, when did she know about her...
Diane, would you come over here and stand in front of this white table? Because you're up against the windows. And we might as well not videotape you at all.
When
Thank
you
you.
got to the point of trying to find when the shift was that she felt the sadness instead of the anger, and Camilla said with her Synergist, and she began to move her hands, then you backed away and you did not have your hands on her for quite a while after that. And I was wondering what the process was for you.
of breaking the physical contact at that point.
You mean changing the physical contact?
Not having your hands on her.
Right. Yeah, I just heard the word breaking, and I didn't experience me breaking anything, but I experienced me changing it.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that would be accurate.
Okay, could you repeat that again?
So I was wondering why...
When is this happening?
This was happening after she had told you what the specific incident was,
Okay.
and you questioned Camilla about when did she get the sadness? When was there a shift in her out of the anger
Well-
and a realizing of that it was this old theme playing over and what she felt now was sadness? And Camilla answered that it was in one of the visits, the number of visits she had with her therapist, and at that point you physically moved away from her so that you were looking at her rather than touching her.
Okay.
And my curiosity was, since you stayed that way for quite a while, whether there was any plan or reason for being in a separate space.
Thank you. Okay, Guy? I am not connecting to all I have in my memory bank at this moment, because I'm still with the whole thing, Diane, is that from feeling angry as she described what happened to her, that her being vulnerable, and she described it, her eyes got very sad and welled up in tears. And that's when we went to, I saw a great deal of sadness. And she touched her heart, and I had her heart chakra from behind, and some of her emotions, belly. When the part that you're talking about, and Rob's going to talk about that, see, when I was in it, and I don't remember, because I know I've been working on this, all I remember is I had 2 sessions a week, a lot of sessions suddenly, when I got into all the frustration and anger. I would have to watch the video to connect with why I stepped and gave her more space at that point. Rob, what do you think?
I feel it was not about so much the content, it was energetic.
Okay.
And so what Diane was focused on was that, and Diane used the word broke, which you picked up on. Diane was referring to you stopped physically touching Camilla. So that's why Diane referred to it as breaking physical contact. And that didn't resonate with you because you were still in energetic contact
Very
with her.
much so.
An emotional contact with her,
Mhm.
but no longer physical. And what I saw happen was when Camilla made that shift, and then she also had the memory of the therapist, and her energy also shifted and her body posture shifted as she recalled the therapist, and you were stepping back physically to give her space. So her spatial area was different energetically, and you were giving her space to be in, but you were still maintaining the emotional contact and the eye contact, etc. So it was another way to be with her and give her a different kind of space, not be physically in contact, which in some ways might have, I imagine, could have impeded where she was at or what she needed to do with herself physically. You were giving her space to be with herself physically in a different way without being in physical contact.
While you were talking, Rob, and your question, Diane, I got in touch with another theme that came up during the work, which is probably a theme, a sub-theme that is the outcome of the trauma that happened here. Very visceral trauma, and that's boundaries. And that came up when you said that she was doing the camera and shooting you. Okay? And I felt that very strongly and poignantly, that the position you were in this many-rolled position with someone, especially since you had to create this film on a topic like this, was like, wow, that's a lot to carry and sort out. And I have a hunch, more than I have experience and knowledge, that boundaries coming from our life and how we are with our families, that's a theme that is a very powerful theme to sort out. And once the unconscious becomes conscious and aware that you are doing this, you can start looking at everything you set up. You consciously set up to undermine your boundaries, to make it much more complex and undermine, or especially a relationship that is you deserve it. Deserve having a marvelous relationship with this person or whoever. And mixing up all of that may make that so much more burdensome. That was a major theme for me, which would be something in ongoing work. I definitely would run through the weave, through the tapestry of this story, is boundaries, merging. It's very rich. It's very rich material because it's a very not so subtle way of creating what you're upset about. You're upset about something and then you create this other situation which is grist for the mill. And if you're up to working it through, then you've got a situation created for you to look at how any of us set up a situation. So you almost have a triangle between you, her, and the camera. You have a triangular relationship between this woman, you, and the camera. You gotta find out who you love more. And if you love her more, you let someone else take the camera. But if you love the camera more and she's the only one that can do it, I don't know if the other relationship can happen. It's like a triangle here. It doesn't have to be 3 people. Interesting, yeah? Yes, who? Yes.
I just wanted to make a brief comment about also being energetic field and stepping back and giving Camilla space. I imagined also it was a time when, talk about merging and being in a triangle, her therapist, her family, the witnessing, that your stepping back also gave you space as well, because it was a place of sorting through, albeit very quickly, many choice points. Mm-hmm. So I imagined it was also reflecting your self-care and honoring and giving Camilla space. Camilla, who has witnessed such pain and now professionally witnesses and records.
Yeah. And
so there's been a triangle
there.
And I saw you clearly stepping back.
And creating my own boundaries. I think that's accurate, Ruthie. That giving her space and claiming her own boundaries, my boundaries. Nan?
There's something else in here about vulnerability and disempowerment. The ability to be vulnerable without feeling disempowered.
Yes.
Which is a big theme here through the whole story with the, doing the video to sort of empower herself around this story. I don't know if that's why she did it or not, but there's
Whatever.
something,
For
there's
you,
something
a theme about empowerment.
empowerment and vulnerability, and to be in relationship and be vulnerable without losing power. How to do that.
How to do that.
There's something around that, and I feel like it's tying into what you're saying about the boundaries and the triangle and sorting out where to be vulnerable, where it's okay to be vulnerable without having to have so much going on to make it safe.
Yeah, it makes it harder to make it safe, right? Definitely. If you want safety and trust, the more complicated it gets, the more difficult. It's possible, but it is tough. And I know that's one reason that you do attempt to be your client's synergist. If one thing leads to another and you see them in a group, they're in a group, or you both end up in an event together, it's a little awkward because you have a certain relationship with that person. It's possible, and sometimes very enlightening to see your client in another venue other than just your office. Then you have to balance more information and experiences, and they have to also balance more information about you in their relationship to you. And of course, next time in your sacredness of your office, what was that like to see me? What was it like for me to see you? And not just take it for granted that, oh, well, that happens. There's something that happens there. And in the world we live, it's really tough. If a community is small, it gets more complicated. The larger it is, the less complicated if you know your boundaries. So it's an interesting call, this whole question of boundaries, interesting situation. That in certainly some situation it can't be helped. It doesn't make the people wrong. Other situations you can really create a sacred space for you and the client, and that's the space you have on the phone and in the office. And if they come for an ongoing group, that is complicated enough. If you have someone one-to-one, years back in the 60s and 70s, we invited many of our ongoing clients to join a group because it gave us another way to see them. And then we weren't the only object of their transference. They had colleagues, people in the group that could say things that would be different if we did. And that needed to be worked out. You know, I have to share you with 8 other people. It's not one-to-one. And that brought up all kinds of things. So each thing taken in its own time is really fascinating. And how to stay flexible with it. That's it, not to get rigid. You know, boundaries, how to stay flexible in it. Balanced somehow. The big lesson, I believe, is when you're beginning to be able to step back within yourself and watch yourself set it up so that it's going to come back and get you. and not do it unconsciously. Just do it because you always did it. But suddenly say, wait a minute. What's the set? How am I setting this up? I did this before, and I'm doing it again. And how to walk down that street and not fall into the hole. And how to catch yourself before you see the hole. Well, here I am walking down the street again, there's the hole. You know what I did last time? I fell in, couldn't get out, then I got out, and I still keep falling in. And now finally, the day comes where I see it before I fall in, and I walk down around it, and then the real enlightenment is I walk down another street. That's enlightenment. The other is correcting the behavior. Okay, now at least I'm not falling in, I'm walking around it. Enlightenment is when I don't even go to the hole, I go down another street. Now that's change of behavior. And that takes flexibility, courage, a real desire to change this. And to deal with the grief of the one you were before you changed, letting her or him go. Because we obviously got something out of the other, even though it was not so hot. Right?
Title, Ilana.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. What title would you like, Camilla? This session. Okay, the title, Bill, is My Heart is Open. So it's going to be My Heart is Open with her session. My heart is open to you. So that'll be the session plus our discussion. To you. My heart is open to you, whoever you is. My heart is open to you. Yes? So before we close the session, what would be a word or two or three about what happens in Rubenfeld Synergy in another form? What could happen if we do the work in another? It's the same. It's the work. It's the work, whether it's verbal, touch, standing. What is that for you? Just one or two of you. What is that for you to have another form? Expanded possibilities. Ditto. What? Flexibility. Expanded possibilities. Flexibility. Creativity.
Stepping out of the parameters. Breaking that creates different.
Yes.
Stepping out.
Stepping out of a box. Stepping out of the way you're used to doing it and doing something different. Parameters. Mm-hmm. Integration. A new posture, a new position, a new stance. Mm-hmm.
Dynamic.
Dynamic. Continuing a dynamic.
Standing can facilitate empowerment and
Yes, the choice of doing it standing can underscore and support empowerment and movement. That came up a lot. I couldn't do this if I weren't standing or grounded. Peggy, do you have any announcements that you need to make? No? Rob, any?
that when you're done your supervisions in the morning.
Wait a second.
When you're done your supervisions in the morning.
You can come right in.
Just when you finish your supervision, come into the.
Thank you, Peggy.
Staying out in the lobby.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.